What's up, guys, and welcome to a new podcast. Today, I'm joined by a very special guy. It's my coach, my high performance coach. Man has got a crazy story. Man, from an ex bodybuilding, from ex drug addict to self made entrepreneur and living the good life in Bali.
The same guy, my neighbor, I don't think you mind me telling that today, was actually the guy that introduced me to drugs. And I just screamed all I could, like, rah. Because in the end of the day, bro, it's food. We don't eat numbers.
Yeah.
We eat food. Your body changes your mind and your
Yeah.
mind changes your world.
Simon, how are you?
I'm good, my man. I'm good, my man.
Is it a good introduction for yourself?
Well, I feel so. And, firstly, I just want to acknowledge you, for doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, we've known each other, what now? 4 months, 5 months
Something like that.
ish, yeah. Met each other in Bali and obviously seeing your story. I know you just posted your introduction story and that sort of thing to your channel. And so, yeah, every time we sat down and chat and that sort of thing, I've always been fascinated by you. You know what I
Same,
mean? In terms of your age and what you accomplish, and also your hunger and your desire for actually going back and helping people. And I assume that's why you starting this channel and these sort of things there. So
100%.
cadeau to you. I think people always find each other in terms of that like-minded mindset around giving back, helping, and having these similar struggles and stories we all are going through there. So
Yeah, because it's funny. The first time I saw you at Body Factory, I was in Bali for like a few days and didn't know anyone yet. And I saw you, I was like, okay, I need to connect with that guy.
yeah.
Because has such a good energy, a high vibration. You look inspiring, if that makes sense.
Right.
I think that's really because of your story as well.
Yeah.
Like where do you come from? Where did it all start?
Well, so I grew up in a typical middle class family in Denmark. So I'm born and raised in Denmark. Grew up there. My first part of my life. Always kind of like look at myself as like these two people. Like when I lived in Denmark, moved to Australia, and then now kind of like the third chapter of it. But yeah, growing up, man, I was to be honest, I was a happy kid, like very energetic. Teachers thought I had ADHD. A lot of that will come later on, but grew up in a good family, I would say. When I'm looking back right now, dad was a typical working class dad, like 2 jobs, tough guy. He would treat us tough. You know what I mean? And he wasn't much there in the picture for us growing up. So it was really just my mom, my sister, and then me doing a lot of this family stuff together, going out and cinemas and eating, and she would take us around to sport and these sort of things. And when I think I was around 5, that's when I started going to soccer and playing football, like a lot of European kids are doing. And I was really good. Like I became really good at it, and it became my thing. And now when I'm looking back, knowing what I'm knowing today, like I understand now why I was happy and why I was a good kid, why I was strong, and then why things slided for me later on, and then why I now return back to that like kid again. And it was because I was really good at one thing, you know what I mean? I had my football and it was something I just put my everything into. That's where I got my energy from. But I think also like as a kid, that's where I got my validation from. In school, like when you're the sports kid, you kind of like, you are a certain type in school, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to be honest, like looking back, I had a lot of confidence as a kid, lots of trouble in school. Like I was always the rebel, always the one that got kicked out of class and went to the, office and that sort of thing. But when I'm looking back, I was never, I never took anything personable. It never hurt me inside that time. I was just like, this is me. You know what I mean? But that energy and that kind of like urge is really kind of like what I'm returning back to again today, just with a bigger maturity and understanding of where that energy and that like is coming from. I had it as a kid. But yeah, like grew up with my mom and dad. Dad was never really there in the picture. Have a great relationship with him now. Didn't have it all throughout my whole life, like my own teens and early on in these sort of things. And my mom actually, after she had me, she got infected in her kidney. So basically, like where I'm like I think it's the wound. Like I'm laying in the wound of her,
Yeah.
and then when I'm coming out, she got infected in that water I was laying in, and that infection went into her kidney, and basically destroyed both her kidneys. So so she, that's probably a year, 6 months or a year after I was born, she got diagnosed with kidney disease. Basically, like her kidney is so low effective that she had to go into dialysis. So my mom, like at that time that she would be in dialysis, she would be in and out of hospital, and then she would start having her kidney transplants. So she got very early on, I can't even remember how old they were there, but she got my grandma's, so her mom's kidney.
Yeah.
So you can live, I didn't know that, you can live with one kidney as a person. We all have two.
Yeah.
So my grandma gave, my mom, both of them didn't work, and then my grandma gave her one to my mom to basically save her. And that hold for 14 years, which was a long time at that time. So usually when you have other organs in your body, it rejects it and it doesn't work anymore after a certain time because you get the medication and all these sort of things. Yeah. So that popped off after like 14 years. And she was again back on dialysis. And at that time then now, I'm probably early on in my teens, probably like 12 or something. So to be honest, like there was a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of like, fuck, is mom gonna die? Because she was always in hospital, in and out. Like it's like my mom, she's the only one that had 4 kidney transplants. So she went on, she had my uncles afterwards.
Yeah.
She had another one from a donor that never worked. And you go into full on surgery, get it in your body, wakes up, figure out the kidney is dead. Big surgeries. Imagine it's like heart, kidney, and these sort of things. And then the 4th one she have right now, which she got like 3 years ago, touch wood, she's good. Everything is working, these sort of things. But she's still fragile. You know what I mean? And for me, that really created that fear because I didn't have my dad growing up because he was always working, 2 jobs, had his own business. He's selling Christmas trees, building this whole farm, at home. And then he was driving truck. So he would work in the morning and then he would go at 2 o'clock and then he would go and drive truck. So there was just, I'm like, if my mom is passing away right now, I'm like, what do I have? You know what I mean? So I just remember that for me created a massive sort of like fear of me growing up there. So, but overall, yeah, like I grew up with that, had my sport, mom and dad at home and these sort of things. And my sister and I was just kind of like a normal kid growing up.
How did you deal with that fear?
It's a good question. I don't think I could deal with it in any ways. It's kind of like just, we know fear when it happens. We know anxiety. We know that feeling of like, can I pull this off or can I do this or what's going to happen if that happens? As a kid, you don't think 2 steps ahead. All you get is the feeling. Like I'm going to the bathroom, I'm looking in the mirror, I'm like you get that like, oh,
yeah.
Like what would that feel like being here now and mom weren't here? So I don't really feel like I don't really think I could deal with it, and so it was just like a pressure that was putting on, from a standpoint of like feeling alone, almost like if she's gone, I'm like I feel literally alone.
Yeah,
I'm like my life is gone. That's how I felt. So I don't really think I had a mechanism with that early on. Like it was just the feelings and sitting with them and then kind of like just trying to be with my mom and these sort of things there.
Yeah. And you said at some point, like you had a good childhood and stuff. And at some point it slid away.
Mm.
What was that point?
Oh, I remember it clearly. Like it goes back to what I said before. It was like I had my football and that one thing that I was super focused on.
Yeah.
It gave me the confidence, it gave me the drive, it gave me the validation from myself. Hey, I'm good at something. And to be honest, like looking to other people now and knowing what I know today and looking at kids, I'm actually very curious about going into that whole parenting kids industry market because I have my sister, she have a boy right now. He's 8 years old, a little daughter coming out right now. And, I was home, in this summer here and you see the steps and how they're evolving in that age.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, wow, like that's really where people are formed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In many ways, you know. Not saying that you can't change later on, but you get a lot of that innate identity and drive, and that like if you just get some experience very, very early on of like a little bit similar like you, like going through adversity. Hey, I did it. I made something happen. Hey, I'm good at this. And you build your identity around certain things. I think that's really ultimately the strength that we are using and we're taking with us later on in life. So for me, that was the turning point. Like the turning point when things started to slide for me is when I no longer had the football.
Yeah.
I just kind of like naturally lost interest, 12, 13 years old. Girls are starting to look differently. Earlier, like in Denmark, we kind of like, we go out and we drink a little bit early as well. We go to, friend's house, you have 2 beers with you and that sort of thing. So I think it was just like that started to kind of like spark a little bit of curiosity in me. And basically kind of like lost the interest for football. And I think I stopped around 12.
Yeah.
And then the sidetrack and the shift happened between 12 and 14, 13 and a half, 14, where I didn't have the football anymore and just kind of like went out into this. Who am I? What am I doing? Drinking over here, partying, but didn't have anything going on for me. And remember the neighbors that was living across the road from me. I remember they're a lot older than me, and then there's two of them. I remember one day we all sat on their scooter, like me, him, and the other one. We drove on our little scooter thing into town, and they were starting smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And went into town, and he was 16 at that time, so he could buy. And he bought a pack of cigarettes for his younger brother and then me. And we drove back again to where we live, and we sat around like whatever, some corner somewhere around where we lived all afternoon on a weekend, and we just smoked those pack of cigarettes. And that was really kind of like, that was my first introduction to sort of like substance and doing something and these sort of things there. And bro, that thing really just like slided from there. And the same guy, my neighbor, I don't think he mind me telling that today, was actually the guy that introduced me to drugs.
Yeah.
I was 14 at that time, 14. And I went on a holiday camp with him and his family. And there was a lot of other kids and that sort of thing. And, he was 18 at that time, so he could drive and that sort of thing. And he was starting going into this whole drug environment and these sort of things. And I remember one night, he came to me up at that camp thing there. And he said, come with me. And went to the bathroom. And he pulled out his wallet, and there was that little bag of white powder. Yeah. And it was, at that time, it was amphetamine speed. Yeah. And I took my first line together with him at 14. And again, that's the whole point. Now my identity started to shift. I'm like, what is this? Yeah. Like it was my energy was drawn towards this. Like, hey, what could that be? That must be fun. Like, what is it like? It's pretty cool. He seems cool. He's older than me. Like, so it was just, that's where I really formed my next 5 years of my life. Which, I always say to people, I never ran from everything. It's not because I was sad that I got into drugs. Mm-hmm. It was my obsession and my identity and my drive for more, that I didn't have anything for these years, that I now put into that. But as you all know, as everybody know, like, drugs are not good for you. Yeah. And it's not even the drugs. It's who you become in the process. Because you know that you're doing things you shouldn't do. Right? You got to hide at some point. Like, in the beginning, I was just doing drugs all the time. Pills, weed, cocaine, like everything. Because it was fun. Yeah. And people now started to see me as that guy. My haircut started to change. My outfit started to change. So now I got validation in that. So I had this ADHD kind of thing as a kid. Yeah. Now I'm like 14, 15, still kind of like in the same town, same people and that sort of thing. I was the rebel. Now I was really the rebel. Teachers were after me. I got kicked out of school in year 8, like completely removed from school, because I still don't know why, but it was probably just too much. Like, got into crime, not graffiti, but like damaging things. And, we have firework, exploding things, and really just became like an idiot. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that was just what I fed into. You know what I mean? The first couple of years doing drugs, like being this rebel, like he's the bad guy sort of thing. And again, like when I'm looking back, I still didn't feel anything at that time. I didn't feel anything wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't feel any self-esteem or confidence lacking in these sort of things. But yeah, that freaking escalated. Like, because when I continued to do that, then all the things, it's almost like delayed gratification.
Yeah.
Same with the negative thing. All that started to catch up with you. All the things that you're doing wrong right now start to catch up with you and how you think and feel about yourself later on. And yeah, man, from the age of 14 to around 19, I did everything under the sun of drugs and what you can do, everything under the sun of crime of what you can do, stealing, breaking into things, violence, going out, like stupid things. And at the age of 17, basically it was just before I turned 18, I was sitting in court. And I just got convicted for street violence and drug possession. And everybody around me started to go to prison. Everybody around me started to go to rehab. All of them. Like I was at the point, I did heroin.
Damn.
I did heroin, bro. Not injected. I injected other stuff, but I did heroin. Smoking heroin with junkies.
Yeah.
My friends, and we, like, you don't buy heroin from a 15-year-old guy.
Yeah.
You buy heroin from junkies.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, that was like when I started really like, I'm like, wow, this is heavy stuff. My mom, my parents, my everybody knew at that time. Like, I don't know if your viewers can see, but I got a big scar here.
Yeah, you can see it.
On my knee. That was probably around 16 to 17. Went out with some mates, popped some pills, mixed with alcohol, and I was blacked out from 10 o'clock at night to 4 p.m. the next day.
Damn.
And within that time frame, I've been to hospital. My whole leg was open, and you could see into my kneecap. And it was just there. That was when things started to accumulating, like parents figure out, and family, and you know, I really started to feel, you know, like what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I started to feel that like feeling of anxiety, depression, struggles, and like all these sort of things. You know what I mean? So, you know, I never want anybody to like even listen to my story and feel bad about or feel like empathy for me, because it was all something I did myself. You know what I mean? But in doing so, like when you develop that insecurity, anxiety, depression, like it's hard because it sticks to you. And you know, that's really been my mission now for the next decade of my life, coming out of drugs and these sort of things, is to remove myself from that. But, you know, the turning points from that was really just, you know, being convicted, drug possession, kind of like quit those friends, had a little like rehab for myself for a couple of months, smoked a bunch of weed, got super addicted to weed, quit that. And then kind of like the last little trial and error of quitting was like quitting again, all these friends. It was kind of like different friend groups. Went back home, didn't see anybody for 2 or 3 months. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm fine now. I'm good. Let me reach out to people I went to school with, because at least they didn't do drugs. They were just partying and drinking alcohol. Who do I think I'm kidding? Like, went out there, started to hang out with that, started drinking, and now it's just cocaine.
Yeah.
Massive. Cocaine, all the time. And that was really the last phase of my teenage years of doing that, where I like eventually came to the point of like, you know, my anxiety is so through the roof right now. My discomfort in myself is so through the roof. I can't have a normal job. I got fired from a job. I couldn't perform anymore sexually. Yeah. Like I literally went into this like, my body, what's happening? And funny enough, I reached out for help. 19 years old. I remember I was at work. I was just like, it was the performance in bed that triggered it. Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
Like why it's like, it's a little bit the same what I do with today with weight loss and high performance and these sort of things. It's such a tiny thing for people that triggers them to actually do something. It's very high level problem. I was with that girl. I couldn't perform that night. Went to work the next day. I was like beating myself up. I'm like, why does that happen for me? Why does it keep happening for me? You know what I mean? And then I went into my computer at work and I typed in sexual coach or something around that.
Yeah.
And I booked in a session that same afternoon. And I drove down there, and it was like a 55 years old guy, old man. He was kind of like a relationship sort of thing, you know, like I'm just like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And I went in there and you know, I told him all my things. I can't perform, and why is that? And why has that become a thing? And blah, blah, blah. And he said, tell me about yourself. What are you doing right now? What have you been doing the last 2 years? And again, everything just all came back to drugs, letting myself down, and doing all these sort of things there. And then he said the sentence to me that changed everything for me. And I don't know why that was the sentence, but he said to me, Simon, every time you're doing something, you know it's wrong. Every time you're doing something you know you shouldn't do, you're banging yourself 2 steps backwards.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not drugs. That's everything. That's waking up in the morning. That's doing the call as you're supposed to.
Yeah.
That's going to the gym when you said you're going to do it. Every time you're doing something you know you shouldn't do, right? Where you're like, fuck, why didn't I do that? I shouldn't have done that. He said, you this self-esteem thing you're talking about, this performance, this sex thing, this blah, 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 you're going back to that. And that was the drawing line for me, because I now had an association of like, if I do this activity, like mentally in my head, I go to this that I don't like. And that kind of like just led me out on the path of really just saying no, and I'm not coming, I can't, nah, stop, nah, I feel good, nah. And bro, to this day today, I have so much strong, not anxiety or anything, I have such a strong association to drugs. Like for me, it's like killing someone. Like for me, looking at that line, I'm like, that for me is like backwards.
Yeah. And you don't want to go back.
Not want to go back. And yeah, that was really the turning point.
But how is it that like heroin and stuff is not light shit, right? It's heavy stuff.
Yeah, I know.
And how did you quit that basically? As in, at some point you said like I took 2 or 3 months off. I didn't see anyone. Like a true junkie doesn't stop, right? Like,
yeah.
How did you do that? How were you capable to do that at such a young age as well?
Yeah, great question. And I think it goes back to, again, me being a kid, coming where I came from. Like I've already experienced success.
Yeah.
I come from good moral backgrounds. And that's a little bit what I'm saying to a lot of people, like just whatever happens will happen.
Yeah.
Because you've had some good stuff in your life, and eventually you will return back to that, because you have that compass, that guiding mechanism within you.
Yeah.
Where, you know, again, it can happen for some people, they never get off, but that's also why my self-esteem and my confidence got so damaged, because I knew better. I knew, like, I'm not this kid. Like, why are you doing this? You're not a junkie.
Yeah.
You're a football player. You know what I mean? So that's why, like, I truly believe, like, junkies and people that never get off is because they come too far out, of course, but it's almost like they don't have enough pain, enough pull in the opposite direction, that being on drugs and doing stupid things is just easier. This is whatever. This is who I am. My mom and dad did drugs as well.
Yeah.
Fuck, I grew up with like my mom sitting and smoking weed, like whatever. They're playing that story with themselves. So the reason why I could put myself out of it is because of my parents. And it's because of how I grew up. Like, I grew up in a normal family that gave me these like moral compass. My mom was the one that built in that shame and that discomfort and that shame around drugs, because she would see me every time I was on drugs. She'd be like, what are you doing with yourself? Like, she was sick as well. Remember that? She was in hospital. And she was like, I remember one time she said to me, she's like, if you don't quit these drugs right now, I won't see you anymore. Yeah. So you know what I mean? Like, from a kid. So you have this battle with yourself of right and wrong. And when you have people that you love and you respect, like it eventually will catch up and it will be, you know, easy enough to move in that direction now. So I think definitely that, like, success in the past plus the moral compass that we're getting from our parents will eventually, no matter how many things and shit we go through, will catch up and give us some sort of direction.
How did it feel when your mom said that to you?
Yeah, it's we actually talk about it a lot. Like, she kind of like reminds me about it.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it that wasn't the turning point. It was around that same time,
Yeah.
but even that wasn't the turning point. I think it was just like, my mom, she's amazing. Like she would probably see this. Like, she is the strongest person ever. She's gone through 4 kidney transplants,
Yeah.
right? She's gone through a punctured lung. She's gone through freaking, bro, like a year ago, she had a tumor in her brain and she was numb in her whole left side for 6 weeks because of failed medication.
Yeah.
But she's the most positive, like the most encouraged, like the most like helping other people kind of person I've ever seen, regardless of all the shit she's been going through.
Yeah.
So now looking back, I'm like, because she was so good, it's kind of like a little bit that person of like, they're so good, you know what I mean, that people walk over them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They take advantage of it. They don't take it so seriously. And to be honest, like even when I look now and look back, my dad wasn't there, right? He was never there in the picture in the beginning. Hated, we had like physical fights, lots of like things, like especially in the teenage years when I was doing drugs, like stupid things I don't even want to get into. But when I left and moved to Australia and started my own journey and that sort of thing, that's where our relationship started to shift. But it's almost today, when I'm talking with them, I have this like desire in me to almost like, it's kind of like getting validation from him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he wasn't there. My mom, she was there.
I have the same. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, she already believes in me. You know what I mean? It's almost like, and my dad, like we have a great relationship today, but I can feel this urge of like, I have a little, like I get a little bit more like, I want to tell him that versus telling it to my mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know if that was off question, but
No, the answer is it. Yeah.
yeah.
And at some point, you were talking to this relationship coach, and he told you that sentence. Like, how did your life go from there?
Well, it went from, you know, saying no the next day and actually feeling good with like having more pain
Yeah.
towards doing drugs. That was really just what he did. More association, more pain doing X versus this, right? And that's really truly what I believe, you know, we all do. You know, we have pain and we have pleasure.
Yeah.
And sadly, most people only move when they have pain. That's really how the brain works. You know, I was talking with a new client today as well that's starting on a journey like that, and you know, I remember I was hearing this interview with a guy online that had a conversation with his psychologist, and he asked his psychologist, and he was like, "Am I wasting my time trying to help people change?" Where the psychologist basically said, "You are."
Yeah.
He's like explain, like why is that? He said the reason why men go into the army when they're 18 years old is because when you're 18, you still have a chance to, they can still mold you, still change you. They can still tell things to you and they can get you to do stuff. But when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, you're so set in your way of doing things that it's nearly impossible for someone to change you, saying to you, you should do this, change this, that will be good for you. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Unless the person is experiencing massive pain or trauma, aka death, if I'm not doing anything, aka illnesses. Or us being really good at amplifying that pain on them so they kind of like get the same experience that I had with that guy, saying, if you do drugs, you go there.
Yeah.
People need to have that shift, but it's pain. It's always pain. It's only you and I right now that go towards pleasure. But still pain. I still have pain. The reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today is still because I don't want to go back to that kid. I wake up in the morning, never hit the snooze alarm. Like that for me, like that's my switch. But it's still pain that I'm operating from, which is good and bad. And I'm still maturing with that feeling.
Why is it good and bad?
It's good because it gets things done. It's good because I'm very driven and I'm very intentional about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm very much like on alert. Imagine you're in war. You're like, I'm on alert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The bad thing with it is, you know, you're hard on yourself. Like you're hard on yourself. Like you know, and if you talk with the females and the energy healers and that sort of thing, they're going to be like, wow, like how can you do that? Like how can you operate like that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Out of that. But I don't really see like, I kind of like the way that I'm doing, but I would say I'm hard on myself, and I probably put myself mentally into boxes sometimes that is not beneficial. Meaning, for example, like I've just been sick right now, and I figured out I had COVID and that sort of thing. Didn't know I had COVID at the time, but I would still like wake up, do calls. I would still work. I would still do as much as I could. Where a normal person would just have been like, bro, you sick. You got COVID, right? Like take a bit of time off, and maybe I would have recovered even faster. Like I play these weird things with myself of like, I have to work from this time to this time. It's weird. And if I don't, I'm like, you're a quitter.
Yeah.
You're a quitter. Which is it's not really good, but it is, you know what I mean? Because I should learn, like I need to learn a little bit more flow and a little bit more like, where am I at? What do I need? Get myself up to this thinking and then operate from that standpoint instead of just like, every day around my task and these sort of things there. Yeah.
Okay, but if we go back in your story, and at some point you said you had that turning point, and you're then 16 till 19, somewhere there, right?
Not in 18, 19 when I had that conversation with that coach, yeah.
Yeah. Like, what did you do from there? How did you come in fitness and everything?
Yeah. Yeah, so I was already, the reason why I started with fitness, I was 15 years old, smoking weed with my friend. And his dad, old school kind of like guy, went to the gym and he drank protein powder. And we looked at his top of protein powder. I remember it was called Bull Plus 50. It was like a big bull on the package. Him and I smoked weed, went in online, bought 2 kilo of protein, got it home, split it up into two, divided up into two, shared it, and we went to the gym. And that's how I started training. And I've never stopped training since that day. Yeah. That was the day I started training. So it was just kind of like out of like, right, let's see what that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was already kind of like training in these sort of things, 15, 16, 17, so probably 2.5 years, but no clue about what I was doing. I was just going to the gym. No clue about nutrition, food, anything. Very unhealthy because I was doing all the drugs. No sleep for 2, 3, 4, 5 days sometimes, like terrible. So when I quit and I kind of like went through these like, I stopped this, quit those friends, stop this, start again, stop. Like the final one I had after the coach was, as I said to you, I came out on the other side. I'm like, okay, something needs to change. And it was really just that association that I started to say no. And I kind of like went back into, again, of like quitting those friends and those people and those associations. And I'm like, okay, I need something to do right now. Otherwise, I'm like, I'm going to go back on drugs again. I'm going to be 2 or 3 months and then back again. And that was kind of like just the parallel of like shifting, saying goodbye to this and just using the gym, and starting shifting that identity. But looking back, I was super alone. Like, to be honest, when I'm looking over my life right now, since then, that's when I became who I am today. I'm an extrovert. I like people.
Yeah.
People that see me would be like, yeah, like he's blah blah blah, upbeat and that sort of thing. But I'm very much of a lone wolf as well.
Yeah.
And that came from that part of like, I can't trust anything. I can't like trust myself. I need to just focus on one thing. And that was just me training, boring life, just training, just me. But I started to feel better. I started to restore my energy and my self-esteem and these sort of things without knowing it. I didn't do any personal development at that time, nothing. It was just training. Looked at bodybuilding videos and started to get a little bit more familiar with nutrition and these sort of things. And then I met my coach that really had a big impact on me around 20. And I just met him at the gym. I've already trained there now for a year-ish and no drugs and these sort of things. And we just got to talk. And, I always looked for father figures. I've always connected with old people.
Yeah.
I've always hang out with older people throughout my whole life. But there's always been like 2, 3, 4, 5, like 50, 60, 70-year-old guys in my life. And he was kind of like the first one. He's 55 today. Big bodybuilder, strong character. You know Grant Cardone?
Yeah.
For me, he like now knowing Grant Cardone, those two people remind me about a lot of have the same character.
Yeah.
So I was very drawn into him and these sort of things there. And he, he was ex-bodybuilder, Mr. Universe back then, like proper guy, the best one in Europe. And he kind of like got me introduced into, the training, the fitness, and competing as a fitness athlete. And it went in that direction, and really just completely shifted myself in towards that, training, eating, doing all the things I had to do towards that, and really just hang out with him, hang out with a couple of people from the gym. And that was really my life in many ways from 20 to around 23, where I competed. I competed in, 3 shows, got second at the Danish Nationals, and became really good, good with it. There was performance enhancers involved in that as well. We would do that up to the competition. A lot of basically all the competitions in these sort of, has that, So I was doing that as well. And when I'm looking back now, even when I look at today, I have this all out mentality, this all or nothing, this what would it feel like to get to here?
Yeah.
Like my vision statement for myself is like, I'm going all out for the ultimate life experience and making the biggest contribution to the world by inspiring other people to do the same. So I have this urge of seeing like
the extreme.
That's why I did heroin.
Yeah.
That's why I did steroids, and I didn't just did testosterone. I did everything possibly. Make me the best.
Yeah.
Make me the best. Like how can I squeeze it out? Do you give me a pack of cookies? I'm not eating one cookie. I'm eating the whole bag as quick as I can.
I'm the same, yeah.
I don't even breathe, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's another thing as well. That's good and bad as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But definitely that's innate in me. But competed and was really good at that, and got second in a lot of the shows, and was just committed. There was no alcohol, no drugs, there was no nothing. I had 2 girlfriends at that time. One of the girlfriends as well, not at the same time, but I think I had one in the beginning, and then the other one was kind of like the last part of my journey before I left for Australia, and she competed as well, and we were kind of like this fitness couple, So that was kind of like my beginning point for the shift and who I became today, and that's why I say to so many people, like, get yourself in shape. Get yourself in shape, not because of like the 6-pack, but for the experience. For the experience. I remember when I competed, the first competition I did, we were on a team. We were like 15 other people together. Boys and girls, that's the thing, all competed. All, we're going to compete. We're going to all go to the show. We train together. We're posing every month. We're training individually. We see each other at the gym. And I remember as we went on, then people started to fall off. It wasn't for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Too hard, dieting, whatever comes in. And I remember at the end, it was basically only me and another girl left. All of them had quit leading up to that. It's like a 3-4 months process.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting at the gym, I was doing my leg press, and then I get a text message from my coach, and he says, "Guess what?" I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Christina just quit." So that was the other girl. She was like, now it's basically like you're the only one left on the whole team of 15 people that are going to compete. So for me, it wasn't about acknowledgement and being on a stage and be like, hey, look at me. For me, it was about winning.
Yeah.
It was about like, I'm the last one left right now. You don't like, it gave me so much energy to myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not a quitter.
Yeah.
And that, I think, for most people, is like they don't get that. They don't have that journey.
Yeah.
And if they can just give themselves that, you know what I mean? Everything will change from there. Because that's the same feeling I have right now doing entrepreneurship and doing what I'm doing. Is like, if you don't quit, you can't fail.
Yeah.
Just stay with it. You know what I mean? And you need to have that experience somewhere. Otherwise, it's just like woo-woo. Don't quit. Right? And you won't feel like it's not going to hit people because they never had the experience. But if you say that to me, bro, if you don't quit, bro, you're going to be a billionaire. I'm like, damn.
Not stopping.
No, like,
Yeah.
because it's real for me. I've had the feeling, and I'm just building from that every single day, you know.
Why do you think you're so extreme? As
I don't
in,
know.
you go from heroin to like bodybuilding. And bodybuilding isn't really an extreme sport. And as you
Yeah.
say, you're the only one of 15 people.
Yeah.
Why did you have that drive in you to be the one guy from the 15 people who did it?
I actually don't know, like, what, like, where it stems from. Like, I remember, you know, later on when I really went into personal development and these sort of things, I remember I went to one of my first Tony Robbins events,
Oh yeah.
right? I think everybody has been to one of his events or done some material from him.
Yeah.
And I remember being at the first UPW, I did it in Sydney, where he's talking about basically these 6 human needs we all have and we all operate from, which is number 1 is certainty, like certainty that I can do it, or I'm safe and security, certainty. Uncertainty, variety, new things, that sort of thing. Third one is significance. I want to be the one.
Yeah.
That's the celebrity. They all have that one. Number 4 is love and connection. And then the 2 other one is kind of like the spiritual one, which is growth and then contribution, like giving back. And he said at the show there, he said basically, I can't remember, I think it was like 87% of people on planet Earth, they might want a bit of everything, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
they're all operating with the same 2-1, which is certainty. I want to be safe and secure. That's the 9 to 5. That's the middle class mentality, safe and security, and significance. I want to be the one, right? So I don't know, like looking back, like when I went to that event, I could still feel like, so then he said, like, write down on a scale from 1 to 10, which one do you value the most? Be honest, not what you think is going to be right. Be honest. And I would write those 2 down as well,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know where it comes from. It might be sort of like an unconscious thing we had in you, that we have in ourselves. But he said basically, if you can understand it, then you can start shifting it to where you're getting from. And I know 1000% where I'm getting it from today. I'm shifted completely from that. I have uncertainty now as a driver for me. Growth is probably the top one, and then contribution. Like, that's where I'm getting my energy and my excitement and my drive from today. I don't care about be the one. I care about like progress and like building something someone else can have like use of, and these sort of things there. So going back to your question, I don't know where it comes from. I think it's just a human thing. You know what I mean? To want to be the one and have that in you. But I don't know, man. The extreme thing is, as a kid, you know, I wanted to be the best football player in the world.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like that. You know what I mean? So it probably just came from that. I would cry. Like, remember, I would cry and I would cry and I would cry every single time we lost a fight. I would like talk shit to every single teammates every single time we lost. Because I was a leader. I was like, what the fuck? Why are we not why are we not winning? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just already had it there. And that was a year 5, like 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that age where you were doing your shows, what age were you then?
I was 20, 21, 22, and then I left basically after my last show around 23. Yeah, so around 3 years there of competing.
Yeah, and then at that point you left to Australia, right?
Yeah, I left to Australia, yeah.
Yeah. What was that point where you're like, okay, fuck it, I need to leave here? And how does it go? Someday you just wake up like, I'm just gonna go.
Yeah.
How does it go?
It's probably, you can probably relate to that as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I personally had it since I was a kid as well. Like, we would go on these trips with my family. We would go, like, my dad is very old school. Like, we would pack the car with lunch and boxes and everything. And then we would go from Denmark to like Austria, from Denmark to Italy, Denmark to Croatia. And we would go on these trips,
Yeah.
you know, 1 month, like one week a year. That was all the holidays I went on. I went on one flight trip when I was 2 years old, can't remember. Next flight trip I was on was like when I was 16, went to New York with my school. And then the third flight trip was Australia. So that's the only 3 times I flew until now. But I just remember I was always like, we had lots of German tourists up on the beaches in Denmark. I was always like, hey mom, how do you ask in German, like if I can play football with them or volleyball with them? And she was like, darf ich mitspielen? So I would walk over there and like be very curious about them. But always when we went on trip, I remember when I left the border in Denmark and I drove over the border, I was like, wow, Germany. They look the same. They like, what do they do? How do they eat? Like, I was just always very, very curious about different. So I think it was really the trip I went to in New York as a 16 years old. I saved up for that and did that. I think that was really the kind of like the last thing that just like you're going to live outside your country.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, 19, 20, 22, training and doing these sort of things there. Lots of my friends all moved out, girlfriends, that the whole thing. And I never did that. And I think it was because I had this voice inside me saying, hey, like, you're going to do something else. Don't get into that right now. And you see that. My sister, she had a kid when she was 24. I've talked with her many times afterwards. She wished she had waited.
Yeah.
But she did the whole thing. Got a boyfriend, moved into a house, bought a dog, renovated, and then gone.
Yeah.
In many ways. You know what I mean? It's there's certain things we do throughout, especially our late teens and 20s. There's gonna be like, are you smart with your decisions?
Yeah.
Or are you falling into the traps, buying yourself a house? Well, and then what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 25 because it's cool, it's good.
Yeah.
Like even for me living in Melbourne before I left for Bali, that was probably an even bigger shift for me.
Yeah.
Because I had my girlfriend. We had a 2-story townhouse. We had a home gym. We had people. We had clients. We had things. I walked one day and I'm like, we don't even own anything here. We just rent. But I'm like, it's such a commitment to things that don't really matter in the end. That limits people from taking the first step of changing and moving. So yeah, that was like, living at home and then kind of like did my fitness and these sort of things. The last 2 years of it like was really okay. I'm gonna travel. I'm gonna go and travel now, like after I'm done. But then the fitness cost a lot of money. I just worked night shift, shitty jobs just to kind of like pay the bills and get the fitness and these sort of things going. And then I remember the last competition. I'm like, okay, I can do this last competition. It finishes in November. I can go back to this night shift. I earn roughly around this amount of money. I can save to the ticket in the first couple of months. And I did that from November, December, January, and February. Bought my ticket on the 27th of December and left end of January. Boom. But it was planned. It was already in my mind like a long time. But that was kind of like when I made the decision. I remember I was sitting in the car, quitting my other job, doing the competition thing. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. Just laid it out in the car. This is February. That's where I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And then kind of just like, that was the plan.
Did it feel scary?
I had a girlfriend at that time.
Again, because it's a very extreme decision again.
Yeah. So this is what I always say to people. It's like, no, it wasn't, because I went into with the mindset of like, I actually had kind of like a girl I was seeing at that time, and I was again close to like maybe not do it.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go on a short little trip and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But deep down, I kind of knew I would probably fall in love with it. I went 2 weeks to Thailand and then a one-way ticket to Melbourne. And she was actually that girl that she was supposed to come down and visit me. It was a girl I was just seeing a little bit at that time. She never came down, and I kind of like just fell in love more and more with it, and was down there the first year and really just lived the whatever backpacker life you can, partying and working. I was working as a removalist, like moving furnitures around for people. I was working as an arborist, so climbing trees, cutting tree downs, and these sort of things. And that's how I started down there the first year. Like, learned the language and learned the culture and got around in these sort of things. And yeah, like I remember going back so I've been away for a year and then went back for a year. Like went away from a year and then first time back again after that year. And then I was at home for 2 weeks, and I think it was over Christmas again. Yeah. That for me was the most like moment. Because now when I left again, I said goodbye to them.
Yeah.
And I'm gone. I'm not on a trip anymore. I live in a different country now. I remember I was like crying. We went out for dinner the last night, crying at the table. I just couldn't hold it in. crying, saying goodbye to my dog, crying to say goodbye to my parents, crying in the airport, saying goodbye to my sister and them. That was like a lot more, because now I had a meaning to it. In the beginning, I didn't. So I think oftentimes making these big decisions in life, you're just gonna make it less, effective. You can always go back.
Yeah.
What's the worst case scenario if you start your own business? What's the worst case scenario if you quit your job right now? What's the worst case scenario if you go on that trip? Don't know what, like lose a bit of time.
Yeah.
Can't get back to my old job. You still figure out how to get that job. You still have skills. You still have experience. You can get another job. So you know what I mean? Like playing that sort of like soften things up sometimes. I think it's easier to then make the bigger decisions.
And when you came in Melbourne, right?
Yeah.
If I remember your story correctly, you didn't have any money. You didn't have work. At some point, like your money was gone. Like and you needed a job.
You studied the story, yeah?
I did my research.
Yeah.
How did that go? As in, you were in a different city. You probably barely spoke the language. Everything's new. You're alone. No money, and you need a job.
Yeah.
How do you go from there?
Talk to people.
Yeah.
Talk to people. Like good old Grant Cardone says, like strangers have everything you got, like everything you want. I got my first job the first day, the first hour. Dropped off in the airport, go from the airport on the Skybus into the city, buy my MyKey ticket for the trams around the city, jumped on a train, and I talked to one guy. And that guy was a climber or a laborer for that bus that later became my boss. Chatted back and forth. He was from the UK. Chatted back and forward. I'm like, I'm just going to Melbourne right now, like looking for a job and that sort of thing. He was like, I might see if I can get you something tomorrow. He texted me later on and he's like, hey, we have a job for you tomorrow. Do you want to be a laborer? Blah, blah, blah. Went on that job and that became my job for a year, the first year. So that was how I got it. That I've always had a job.
Yeah.
12 years old, I was cleaning bakeries, washing dishes in a hotel, delivering milk, newspapers, working in a butcher, working at lots of different jobs. So I always had a job, always knew that. And that's, again, I had that from my dad. My dad was never there, but he could work. My dad could work every day. So I always had that. And, my mom, that's another good thing my parents installed me. My mom and dad would always tell me, like, when we were kids, like when you go out to parties, like with your parents, she said, you go around and you shake hands to every single person you meet, regardless. So since a kid, I went around, hello, my name is Simon. You go around and you say your name to every single person at the party.
Yeah.
And that was as a kid, so that was kind of like cute. But I would do this to this day today. Like when I go to places, you go to like a housewarming or you go to a party, nobody freaking talks to each other almost. Yeah. They keep to themselves, they keep to a little group. I walk in and I'm like, hello, thanks for having me. Like, it's just it just comes very natural to me to do that.
Yeah.
So that like one skill will help you in a lot of things. Like instead of sending a resume out and probably be 1 out of 20, I got a job once because I walked out there with my resume and the receptionist wrote down on the resume. The boss told me, like, he showed me the resume. She wrote a smiley and with a I think it was kind of like some sort of like good energy around a smiley face that he would be good. And that's how I got the job because I was out there. Hello, my name is Simon. I'm looking for a job. Here's my resume. So that's how I got the job down there first. Then I did the removalist job, shitty paid. I can't even remember what you get paid. Yeah. Bro, you only got paid to, I worked with this idiot. He treated me like absolute shit. I couldn't speak English. And that's really where, the starting point for me started to come up again doing the personal development. Because I just trained. I was this fitness guy right now. Now I'm suddenly, again, sketchy. Who am I? What am I doing? I'm not this athlete anymore.
Yeah.
No English. Like, very fragile. You know what I mean? Like, people could say something to me. I'm like, what does that mean? How do I do that? And I look back on that, like my life, the person I am today happened there when I moved to Melbourne. Reborn, brand new baby. Need to learn new language, need to walk, need to run, need to figure out a way for himself, just in an adult body. Bro, I would do these like low paying jobs and these sort of things there, like literally just to pay the bills. But at that time that you you didn't think about money in a certain way. You just thought about, this is my room, this is what I'm going to pay, and this sort of thing. I've always been pretty conservative and good with my money in terms of like I have a good understanding of my finances. I would always survive, even I don't get paid a lot. But I remember one incident. I was driving my boss's car and I was holding for a red light. And we're driving out and there's a car in front of me and we're turning to the right. We're driving down the street. And then there's a gas station over here on the left side. And I didn't see this car stopping to go into the gas station. This was just after the intersection. And I clipped, and I'm driving this big ute, big bull bar and everything on the side. And I clipped this car and kind of like damages it a lot, like literally just the whole corner of the car. And, I wasn't insured. My boss didn't have me insured on the car. Like I had to pay for the damage of the car. And I remember like going home there, like I was like, I had no money. Like how am I? Like I'm in a foreign country. How am I going to get? I think it was $2,000 at that time. How am I going to get $2,000?
Yeah.
And something clicked in me there that I really like. The feeling I have about money today was like, okay, this is shit. Like you got a goal now.
Yeah.
You got a target, a very specific target, mixed with pain. You know what I mean? You got to pay, otherwise it's going to be trouble. And for some weird reason, I don't know how that happened, but I got these $2,000 like very, very quickly. Just every time I got paid some cash and a little bit here and there, and I would just stuff it down into I had my little box at home.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 3, I looked up and I had this like $2,000 in cash very quickly. So for me, that's really where it kind of like a little bit of that sales mindset came into me, that entrepreneurial mindset of like, money is not a salary. It's not like you're not paid for time. And so you paid for your creativity.
Yeah.
You paid for your ability to go out there and be smart with it, So yeah, I think that was one of my turning points for, not having any money, to start thinking differently about money. And very quickly there afterwards, that's when I, shifted into the fitness down there and became the personal trainer and started working in gyms.
Yeah. So how did that go? At some point, like you started entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Well, my entrepreneurship really came hand in hand with my personal development. So I probably haven't explained it enough, but like when I came to Melbourne, probably the first year and a half, I felt exactly like I felt like when I was on drugs. Massive social anxiety.
Yeah.
And even more so now, because now I wasn't on drugs anymore. Now I was like somewhere else in my life. And I'm like, why am I feeling so inadequate and anxious being around other people? I'm like, I'm a good kid. I can say hello to people, but I feel very inadequate being around people. I was just like, it didn't make sense for me. So, my journey and who I am today started there. Like, I think I bought a Danish course. I probably still have it in my notes on my phone around self-esteem. And then very quickly that led to Tony Robbins' Ultimate Edge, personal development program. Have it on your phone, listen to it, and these sort of things. And that was kind of like, that was a lot of the starting point of me, the personal development. And I didn't work as a fitness trainer or anything there yet. But it was really just, for me, it was just like, wow, hearing new things, writing things down, and like start to uncover things. Okay. And I would probably do that for, a good solid year there. Like, more or less when I came to try to, uncover these sort of things and why I felt in this way there. Again, it was pain. It was driven by pain. I can't be who I want to be in certain situations. Pain.
Yeah.
Why? Automatic triggers. I can't get rid of it. I can't get away from it. And that was the pain that pushed me into like, bro, you got to freaking like figure out something. And so that's where really that mindset came in again of like being extreme and being all out, being an athlete, being a football player, being a hard worker. I just threw it into that, like consumed everything I could. Courses and read books and listened to stuff. And, I would walk on the beach in the morning and I would like scream out loud and I would like do weird stuff, incantations, meditation, visualization, like everything I could do, like really to strengthen myself. And you know, when a lot of people say to me today, like, oh, wow, you're really good on videos. Like, you're so natural when you do your videos and you blah, blah, blah. And that started there, actually. The only reason why I started my videos was on, I think it was on Snapchat in the beginning, but probably Instagram story there as well was just to, number one, practice my English.
Yeah.
Like becoming better with the language. And number two, I was so excited about what I kind of like I'm doing. It was always on my walks. I would take up my phone and be like, talk about some things that I've learned, or like I've just heard this and blah, blah, blah. And that was kind of like really the beginning for me, you know, doing what I'm doing today. But I remember that the turning point I had for me was, I did 2 Tony Robbins events, one UPW in Sydney, but I actually did one 6 months before that, which was in Melbourne. It was like, you know, high achiever congress sort of thing where there was like a couple of speakers on over 2 days, and then Tony Robbins would come and finish up the last 3 hours at the last day. And I remember at that event, I met this guy, young guy sitting next to me, started talking to him, and he was very much into this energy reading. I'm not quite sure, like he could read based on when you're born and numbers, and he could kind of like tell you a little bit about your energy. And he kept talking about that and that sort of thing. And I remember like I walked out with him at the last day when we finished up. So it was a combination of Tony Robbins, shake up, lots of things like stirred up. But then I remember I walked with him from that event over to the train station. And we just started walking and talking and these sort of things. And then I said to him, like this energy thing there, like so what can you see in me? How can you read me? What can you see? And he said to me, I was probably, how old were there? 26 or something. I've been there for like a good year and a half now. And I said to him, like, so what can you see in me? And he said, Simon, I see a very capable man, strong man, but I see like a big shadow over you, looking down and trying to hold you down. And when he was talking, I just couldn't stop thinking about my dad.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like there's something in me that's kind of like suppressed or not been cleared, or like something that's holding me down. And I remember I was going back on the tram that night there, and I take my phone and music and have something going on all the time. And I was just standing there, and I was just looking down in the ground with like a feeling I've never felt before. It wasn't sadness. It was just like quiet, new feeling, like almost feeling something. I'm like, what is this? And I remember I went to work the next day, and I always, work out in the end of the day. So my boss dropped me off, and I was supposed to go and catch up with a mate and train. And I remember he dropped me off, and I'm walking up to my apartment. We lived on kind of like the beach side in Melbourne there. Walked up to my apartment, and I was like, you know what? You're not going to train now. Didn't walk into the apartment, walked across the road, walked over to the beach, sat down on the beach, and just looked out. And then I was like, all right, now it's time. Like, whatever you have in you, like, get it out. Like, mind you, I haven't probably cried for 10 years at that time there.
Yeah.
Like, no emotions. Like, I would suppress my emotions. I remember sitting in church when my grandma died. And I remember my dad, he went up and spoke. My dad had no emotions, no feelings. And he spoke at the funeral, and he couldn't speak. He was very obviously his mom died,
Yeah.
very uncomfortable and that sort of thing. And I remember being aware of taking myself in the seat, like I would sit like this. I'm like squeeze my emotions in to not cry.
Yeah.
So I had so many suppressed things from me there throughout all those years. And I remember sitting there looking out in the ocean. I'm like, all right, now it's time. Cry, whatever, like do whatever you have to do, get it out. And I'm looking out there and I'm like, all right, try to cry. Like I just spoke to myself, couldn't. And I remember I just laid down and I looked up in the air, and I sat up again and I looked out, and I just screamed all I could, like, rah. Everything came out. Like I started crying like a little baby. Like people from the beach would come over and then be like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like I'm fine. I'm just sitting there,
Yeah.
and crying. I was probably sitting there for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, I want to tell my parents. I want to tell my dad. And I took up my phone, and my phone was dead. So I was like, fuck. I'm like going back up, and I went up to the apartment, and I just sat down, and I just wrote down a big letter to my dad. And I think it was something I heard from Tony Robbins at that point. There was like, it was like, you know, I blame you for all this. Like, I blame you for all this, and this is how you felt. Like, make me feel, and I blame you. Like, get it all out. But at the end of the day, I'm done blaming. I love you for who you are. I'm done, and I'm free. And I wrote this. I can probably send it to you. I still have it in my folder. I wrote this like 2-page letter, and then I felt like completely done and different there.
Yeah.
Like light. It was almost like my shoulders, all the weight on my body was just like gone. And I went on the phone with my mom that afternoon and talked with her a little bit back and forward. But it wasn't before the week after when I got on a call. I usually call him once a week. With my dad, he was there. So I took that letter, scanned it, and I sent it to his email. And next week I hopped on a call. I'm fine there at that time, you know what I mean? And both of them hop on. And my dad is like weird with emotions. Like, he's like, what's up, son? Like, what's up with that letter? Like, he was kind of like trying to make a little bit fun of it because he doesn't know how to deal with emotions. And I just spoke, like, basically what I'm telling you right now. This is how I felt. I've suppressed these things. You know, this is how you make me feel. And like, basically explained the letter, but like, I'm done. Like, I'm fine. I'm good. There's nothing there. You did what you're supposed to do. You did what you could do.
Yeah.
And that was the turning point for me and my dad. Have the best relationship ever. Like, from that moment on, both of them cried on the phone. From that day on, everything changed for me. Everything changed for me from that day on. Because now I allowed myself to be vulnerable. I allowed myself to go through this, like, I can't explain it.
Yeah.
And that was really the clearing of the past. There will still be situations moving forward, like anything else. You got to reprogram yourself. But that was the clearing, and then just injected with shitload of information, exposure, and personal development, and then mix it up with me becoming the personal trainer and really like starting putting entrepreneurship and personal development together, helping people, helping myself, helping more people. And it just became that soup that I was making, that I was like, fuck, I'm accelerating right now. Right? Back to the money thing. I became a personal trainer. Now it wasn't an hourly thing anymore. It wasn't a salary anything anymore. It was like, who am I and what can I attract as a personal trainer was in direct correlation to how much money and how many clients I had. Right? And at that point, I had full calendar when I started.
Yeah.
I looked the part, of course. I was trained. But I had the same thing that you've seen in me as well.
Yeah.
I had this thing, like I was at the gym and people would like come up to me, and like they would be like, I don't know. So it was just, for me, that part was like, you know, an amazing experience, almost returning back again to being the 5-year-old kid, being good at football. Now I've worked on myself for the last, 7-8 years at that time, really clearing up in things. And now I put it into something where I'm like, this thing could be like really big. There's no ceiling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that for me today that's my game today. It's where we're taking this. How many people can we impact and what can we do with that?
Yeah, and at some point there, okay, you were doing entrepreneurship and you had that apartment in Melbourne with your girlfriend. I did my research. And you had a nice apartment, the home gym and everything.
Oh, like when I left?
Yeah, and you decided to leave to Bali. How did that happen? How did that go? I mean, basically, like how I heard, you had everything there.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. I still look back and I think like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
But in a good way or a bad way?
In a good way.
Yeah.
Because I know whatever why I'm like, ugh, right now is for the better in the future.
Yeah.
It was probably a combination of many things, actually. It was a combination of COVID. It was a combination of being in a relationship where I felt like I changed a lot throughout that relationship. And then it's a combination of, me always wanting more, but also, the whole America thing. Like when I was 16 years old, I've always been drawn towards, hey, I want to live in America. I want to do America. It's like, for me, like when I look, it's like Australia is kind of like the little brother. I'm like, okay, I've been here now. I've done this. Like now let me go to the big brother and see what that is. So it was a combination of that. Always been in my mind to want to go to the States. So I think it was really just, my relationship for that year. It was COVID, being locked down for 2 years, no new people, no excitement. Like, mind you, in 2020, when COVID happened, I was in the States. I was in Vegas to do Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Conference.
Yeah.
And that was like 2 weeks before COVID and everything shut down. Nobody over there talked about it. Flew back and, I was pumped. I was like, that was really at that time that was really when I started pushing online. Like I've done, I think my first online client was I wrote it on my board. First paying client I got online was 2018, November 2018.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like in it, but I was still doing a lot of personal training. But then coming back from the 10X and, around February, January, that's when I really started to push into the online just before COVID. So really figuring out videos, figuring out ads, figuring out social media, figuring out this whole game. And came back over from there, freaking inspired, motivated, like energized. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to rock and roll now. To then having a shutdown 2 weeks later. And, at that time I was sitting with a good friend of mine, super successful, old guy, very nice guy. And I would always meet up with him and he always give me like, again, mentor kind of like guy. He would always give me good ideas, always, think about this. And he would kind of like lure it into me when I came back. He was like, bro, I think the gyms are going to shut down. I think things are going to shut down. I'm like, bullshit. I remember we were sitting having dinner on a Tuesday night and he said like, I think this thing is going to roll over now. And right enough, the next day it rolled over and everything shut down. But I remember like riding back from the dinner with him, going home, I'm like, fuck. Like the gym, like what if that shuts down? Like for me, I couldn't comprehend. Like I didn't have the online thing going like I have today. Like what are we going to do? The world is going to be over. But I went into this like excitement and that mindset of like, fuck, I'm going to go hard now.
Yeah.
And I just doubled down. Like I really just doubled down. That year in COVID was probably one of my best experiences ever in that way. Yeah. Because everything was just taken away from you. You don't need to be there. You don't need to do that. That's a little bit like why Bali is good in many ways. You know what I mean? Because it takes away all these like normal things and you just like, what do you want to do? And put all your focus into that. So I was doing like live streams every single day, 5 days a week, like shows and that sort of thing, content, like pumping out offers and these sort of things, and really just had fun with it, And then I start taking a wear and tear on me like year into year two, being in the apartment, working, sleeping and that sort of thing, that I actually developed some sleeping disorder from that. I got into a routine of waking up in the middle of the night, not being able to sleep, and almost develop a little bit of like agitation and anxiety around being in my apartment and being because everything was there and we were all locked in. I don't know if you heard Melbourne, but a lot of the times it was like 5 kilometers away from home. You got to be in by 8 o'clock at night and you only allowed out 2 hours a day for exercise and for shopping. I know people didn't really do that, but that was kind of like, that was the mindset you were in for 2 years. You couldn't even leave the city. You couldn't go on a trip. You couldn't go to the forest, to the beach, like down the coast, nothing. And then I got a girlfriend at that time, and we were together for that first year. And it was probably, it was a good relationship in many ways. I have nothing bad to say about her in these sort of things. We were good friends. We were good together in that way. We had fun and we were together for that year. But our relationship was not healthy in many ways as well. There was a lot of insecurities and a lot of like jealousy and that sort of thing. Again, for me, from her side. And for me, what I did wrong in that relationship was probably a lot of things, but going into the relationship, probably thinking already from the beginning, this is not the right relationship.
Yeah.
So there was that intuition and that like feeling in my stomach that I had that probably pushed a lot more insecurity towards her, and it became this like freaking weird shit show we had going on. So yeah, man, it came to New Year's. I went home for Christmas, and that whole American thing just kept talking at me. I'm like, I'm burned out. I'm like, I'm bored. I'm like, I look different. I'm pale. I'm like, I don't have that fire anymore. I'm not motivated. I had one of my old coaches on, like, bought some more sessions with him, like, to talk some, like, you know, inspiration into me again. And I'm like, wow, like, why am I feeling that? Like, I can talk to you. I know what I have to do, but I'm like, I have nothing in me. No creativity. And I went back home for Christmas that year, and came back, and I booked in, I talked with my visa agent in Melbourne, and then asked her, do you have any contacts in the States and these sort of things that you can put me in contact to see if there's any options. Booked in an appointment with this immigration lawyer in the States, 7th of January, the first week after I got back. It was a Saturday, and went on a call with her. I said, this is my situation, this is my business, this is what I do. What can I do? And she's like, America will love you. There's great opportunities for people like entrepreneurs and that sort of thing over there. They're great with the visas for that. And she was like, this is your visa. It's E2 visa. It's a business visa, investor visa. You take your business over there, you register it, you transfer a certain fund into an account, and that's basically it. I will do all the work for you. I was like, wow. I thought it was impossible to get over there. That was Saturday. Monday, basically Sunday, basically next day, made the decision with my girlfriend. Let's move to America together. And that was basically the decision that was made there. Then, you know, time went on. You know, the lawyer said to me, it would probably be roughly around 3 or 4 months process. I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Paid her for her fees and that sort of thing, and went into the process of doing that. But for her, my girlfriend, to come with me over there, we legally had to get married. Like married, not just like relationship, register your partnership and that sort of thing, but actually married. So we, you know, I remember I booked it in, the marriage certificate thing, I paid for it and everything. And it was probably around February at that time. And our whole thing was just like, yeah, let's stay together here, wait for the visa and that sort of thing. My current visa at that time would actually expire in March. So I said, fuck it, I'm just going to extend my visa. It would cost like 8-10 grand to just extend my visa because it was a whole new visa in Australia. Like, fuck it, we don't want to stress around moving and that sort of thing now. And anyway, it came up to, you know, it started to get closer, and our relationship didn't really work out. Lots of small stuff where I'm like, fuck, is this the right thing, going to America and that sort of thing? She probably felt the same. And it actually came to the point in February where, you know, this intuition in me of like, I need to go there by myself was so strong that we actually broke up.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like back and forth. She could feel it, and like we had the conversation, and I said like, all right, because it was really weird. I had to make a decision prematurely, meaning our relationship is not really done, but I'm making a decision of like you and I being done based on I'm going to go to America eventually by myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we actually broke up that day there, 24 hours. Within those 24 hours, I was like, fuck it. I'm not going to extend my visa in Australia. I'm going to go to Bali.
Yeah.
And
when was that?
When
was that?
That was in February.
This year.
Yeah, this year, yeah. So 14th of March, that's when my visa expired. And in February, that's when all that happened, roughly around a month before that. And made the decision of that. She was gone for 24 hours. She went to her parents' place. I was a pussy. I'm like, let's figure it out. Come back. So she came back, you know what I mean? And we were together again for that like month. And it was just a shit show.
Yeah.
It was just like, because it was already, now it's broken, you know what I mean? And yeah, man, crazy story. So we are packing everything up. You know, I'm going to Bali now. The plan is we're going to Bali. we're going to Bali together. Yeah. I went, like, I'm going up there. She's having a wedding 2 weeks later. And she was like, okay, like you go there now. And then I'll come 2 weeks later and join you. And, you know, we had our farewell party, sold everything, the house, the stuff, the gym. We only been living there for like less than probably 9 months together. Sold all this stuff, got rid of everything. And she dropped me off in the airport on Monday. It was my birthday on the Wednesday. Celebrate my birthday together on the Sunday. She dropped me off in the airport on Monday. Bye. knowing that she would come 2 weeks later,
Yeah.
and we break up 2 days after, on my
Damn.
birthday, on the
Yeah.
Wednesday. And that's a whole new story. I don't think we can get into. That's a whole long story why we broke up and that sort of thing. But the bottom line to that is like it wasn't the right thing,
Yeah.
and it was just a amount of time that actually like just showed like the real thing around that, and that was the thing. So I went again. It goes back to when I left to Australia. I went up here. I'm like, oh, it's probably only going to be a couple of months. She's gonna come. Goodbye. It's
Yeah.
not a breakup, and it was just all these small like micro decisions that then became like looking back. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's not November and you're still here.
November, I'm still here, and I actually
Yeah.
went to the States and figured out I didn't want to be in Miami. Want to move to LA, but not really ready to move in over there yet. And that's why I decided to come back here and just, you know, bro, it's opened up my eyes for so many things. Like, you know, if I'm looking at my business and what I do today, my driver behind what I actually want to create and what's the thing going to look like and that sort of thing. To be honest, bro, it's just I just want to be around and connect more like-minded people.
Yeah.
I just want to have more like we have here a little
Yeah.
bit, you know what I mean? This like excitement and this universe of people thinking the same. So that's kind of like a little bit my ultimate drive for what I'm doing with my business.
Did Bali, the period here, change your life?
Did Bali what?
Did the time you were in Bali, like coming here and everything, like, of course, like Bali is a
Yeah.
special place. Like,
Yeah.
we're all with so many like-minded people.
Yeah.
How did it change your life? Yeah.
To be honest, not in many ways, and then in many ways as well.
Yeah.
I truly believe you have to be ready for opportunities. You have to be the person capable of handling what's
Yeah.
coming to you. If I haven't gone through, you know, whatever I've gone through, if I haven't put myself into 12 hours, 14 hours work days every day, if I haven't put myself into learning about blah, 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 I would just be up here and I would be like, what is this place?
Yeah.
People get drunk, go out, and then they leave again. Like, you know what I mean? Where now I see it a lot more different. Like for me now, it's just like I am the person that Bali attracts without knowing it.
Yeah.
You and I, we are very much similar.
Yeah.
People we meet and people we hang out with are very similar. They can work in different industries, they can do different things, but we all just brothers on a mission for
Yeah.
ourselves and for whatever we're building. But I couldn't have that experience if I weren't already on the mission, pre-prepared. You know what I mean? So yeah, Bali have just all the good things Bali have shown. You know what I mean? Like the way you're operating, the way you're living. A lot of the locals have opened up my mind a lot as well. You know, I'll open up my eyes a lot for that whole flow and like being more in tune with myself.
Yeah.
And going a little bit more into that, you know that you go to Ubud, you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You sit down, you meditate, you do all these sort of things.
Yeah.
So the environment here definitely gives you a lot
Yeah.
of like tools to like dive even deeper,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And learn more about yourself and these sort of things there. Absolutely, yeah.
How do you balance work and your social life here? Because I've seen your calendar.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
To be honest, I try not to.
Yeah, that's
And that's
why I ask it.
it goes back to a little bit again of like, hey, let's just create a life that I don't want to escape from.
Yeah.
Let's create a life with people that I can talk a bit of everything with as well. Because you can have super smart people talk out on entrepreneurship, but at the same time you can sit, whatever, have a coffee, smoke a cigar, talk about life, talk about their stories, have a laugh, you know, go out, you know, whatever, like they do Tinder chicks. Like you have all these, like we have all these things in us we all like to do. So I think more about creating a life that I don't want to escape from, or that I don't want to like work and then off work, or like Friday and then Saturday.
Yeah.
We're more like I get social right now from doing this, you know what I mean? Like you and I, we sat downstairs, we chatted before, had a good chat. We catch up like lunch or dinner and these sort of things. Like I try to do a lot of my social interaction through meals, lunch and dinners. I love going out for dinners on the weekend. But again, it's like, it's a symbol of who you are. Who do you hang around with? Who do you have around you? And what is the feelings that they're giving you? Because a lot of the people I hang out with right now, they do exactly the same thing as me.
Yeah.
They work.
Same. Yeah.
They say no. Like they inspire you to be
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Are we watching a movie tonight? Are we relaxing? I'm like, nah, fuck it, he's on.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that healthy, environment you're in with people where, and Bali is, you go to the Body Factory,
Yeah.
go to the gym, go to the sauna, you get a lot. But again, I will say, like I also have my times where I'm like, I should be doing this. I should be going out and doing that.
Yeah.
I should be hanging out more with those people there. And I think, in the end of the day, what you and I would do takes a lot of energy and takes a lot of time. And I think being okay with it, that we're not the funniest this week, or we're not the most energetic today, because we're doing a lot of things and we have to operate and think in certain ways. I think being okay with that I need some time for myself, or I need to introvert in, or whatever, I need to be antisocial. I think it's being okay with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a little bit more if you move to Amsterdam right now and you went into a 9-to-5 job, you know what I mean? Just think about that.
Yeah.
You would feel so like different
Yeah.
and so like weird, because every single person would kind of like do the same. They would do their 9-to-5, and then they would have their hobbies and have their going out and like doing all these sort of things, because what they do for work, almost like what their 9-to-5, is a completely different part of their life. So they're having these two lives, where I think you and I, like, and a lot of entrepreneurs and that sort of thing, they live in it. You know what I mean? They do the same thing. It's like work, not work, casual, not casual, social, not social. So I think a lot to do with the people you hang around that stimulates, how much extra social you need to be, or how much you already have gotten from what you're doing during the week there. Yeah.
Something which you've really brought me, and you've been telling me every time since I've met you, is mission, vision, goals.
Yeah.
For people that don't know what we mean by that, like, how would you explain it to someone? How can they apply that in their own life?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I think about vision, I think about what I just said to you in a combination of like, I want to go all out for the ultimate life experience, make the biggest contribution to other people by inspiring them to do the same. I think about vision as like, I'm after something. I'm like, I want to connect. I want to bring more like-minded people in together.
Yeah.
It's a feeling. It's what pulls me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, that's what gives me that like light. I don't really know what it looks like, but it just gives me that pull, like feeling that I'm after. I feel a little bit like that for me is the vision that I'm like looking towards. My mission is then to craft it into something tangible or something understandable.
Yeah.
AKA a business, AKA, travel around the world and save the animals. Like, the mission is for me is really, crafting the business into these endeavors that I want to get into, that I can see will bring me my vision, will bring me what I'm really after. You know what I mean? The excitement and going all out in these sort of things. And then goals. Like, goals is very simple. It's a very overused term. Everybody knows about goals.
Yeah.
I think most people don't know how to hit their goals. And I think that's really where the teaching lays in for a lot of people. When I talk to people as well, it's like, where's your goal? I wanna feel better. What's your goal? I wanna, see if I can eat healthier. What's your goal? I wanna have, better routines. Like, that's all processes that get you to your goal. That's habits, that's shifts and routines. But nobody's really waking up exciting, thinking about, hey, I want to change my routine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what's the goal? What's the thing you and I, we can do now, this month, next month, that you physically, or that you can, goals for me has to have a tangible, almost like a tangible object around. Amount of money, a distance you've been doing, a weight number, a body fat percentage, something that we can look at and we can measure. And then it's really just boiling it down to, even beyond that, it's what's your current routines? What's your habits and routines that you're going to do on a day-to-day basis, right? And that's where it comes into, I got to wake up at this time and I'm going to do 2 or 3 things every single day that's going to bring me towards that. And for me, it's very, very easy. You know, when I'm looking at a person, okay, you're going to lose like whatever, let's say 4 or 5 kgs. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to lose that. That's your goal. Why? That's my vision. Like I want to feel this way. I want confidence and these sort of things. How are you going to get there? Through my fitness. Okay, great. What's your goal? Goal is 5 kilos or 10 kilos because that will get me down to that size where I'm feeling good. Now then we look at like how do we reverse engineering that recipe? Right? How much weight are you going to lose every single week in order to hit that week, like weight goal 4 weeks or 8 weeks from now? And then what are you going to do? What are you going to commit yourself to do to get there? Right? And really understand the tangible things that goes into a process like that. Right? I'm going to wake up at that time. I'm going to do this at that time. And I'm going to do this. These 3 things I don't neglect on. This is my promises to myself. And if I just hold on to that, because life is going to happen. Life is not a perfect recipe. But if I hold on to those 3 things, I'm going to get there. Right? So then it's really just about boiling that down to a lot of the things that we're doing in life. And you and I, we talked about that a lot as well. It's when you think about your mission and your vision and your $1 trillion idea and you're changing the world, you're not going to know how you're going to get there. That's your feeling. That's the thing you put up here that you look at that gives you that inspiration, and then kind of like back it down to like tangible things that you can measure. I truly believe if you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
100% agree.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that from doing what you're doing. If you can't measure like what's happening, you're just
doing something. Then
you're just doing something, and that for most people like. I was talking to a good friend of mine here. I was doing some research with him, and he said something like, I really want to change myself and my body and these sort of things. I just like it's coming in me, this motivation, and then even if I get something going, I fall off like 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the line. It's like I don't have any clear goals. So my priority just changes. Like I really want to do it, but then like in the end of the day after work and all these sort of things, it's like I don't get to do it. So I think truly for a lot of people, it comes down to like if they really want to be effective and actually accomplish something, number 1, clear goal. What is it that you want to accomplish? AKA, I wanted to be the best fitness athlete in Denmark, right? I'm going to be ready for the stage in 4 months from now. I'm going to be on stage in front of 4,000 people in bodybuilding trunks. Nervous. Fuck. I can't quit, right? That in itself, if people can get to that thing, game over. It's the same if I said to you right now, bro, you're going to get in the best shape of your life. Ripped, cut, like the shape of your life.
Yeah.
Right? In the next 3 months, 12 weeks from now, in the shape of your life. If you don't get there, you're going to pay me 50K.
Yeah.
Right?
You will do it.
If you get there, I will pay you 50K. And you will have a beautiful body. Will you do it?
100%.
It's easy. Like, so people are complicating it so much and be like, I need to change this or the food or the training or like, just get committed towards one thing and just like play this with yourself. Like do it. If you really want to do something, it's easy.
Yeah.
Pull the money out of your account, give it to someone and lock it in and just like make that bet or give it to your family, like something you can give yourself a little bit of like, urgency to do. But again, like most people are not going to get to that point. And I understand that. It goes back to what I said before. People don't move unless there's pain.
Yeah.
So if there's no pain enough, people are not even going to get to the thought of like, hey, let me play this game about goals and vision and mission. But that for me in a nutshell is what it's about. Like the vision is the feeling you're after. The mission is the vehicle that's going to get you to your vision. The goals is the things that you can measure. And then the habits you put in place is the process that's going to get you to your milestones and these sort of things.
If someone is listening now and maybe they're overweight, they want to change their body or they want to start a business and they don't know how to start and they basically want to change their life.
Yeah.
What is that one thing you would tell them, like how to do it and how to start?
It's a good question. Like, how to change everything is very individual for a lot of people. But it goes back to, again, get your body in shape. Like that's the overall thing that's going to shift everything for
Foundation.
you. Yeah, the foundation. That's your body is your foundation. Your body changes your mind, and your mind changes your world. Right?
Yeah.
So it's getting your body in shape. Let's back from there. So let's say it's one that's on the couch right now. He has ambitions. He want to change. He's not getting any girls. He's out of shape. Right? He needs something easy to do tomorrow, to do the first step. And you know what we're doing, like for example, what we're doing with our programs and these sort of things, what we're trying to do, you know, with a lot of the guys that are on that path is like they're coming into the program, massive accountability early on in the process for them, right? Like literally, like we have coaches on right now, like literally almost like daily thing for them.
Yeah.
So accountability is huge, right? Then they need to have a short win, something you can do this week. They're gonna give you like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, all right, bro, like you're not gonna go to the gym, you're not gonna figure out any workouts and how to work out and these sort of things. It's too complicated for you. You're gonna quit. I want you to do whatever we can say. I want you to do 10 minutes. You find some stairs somewhere in your town, and you do 10 minutes of hill sprints or stair sprints. Something that's gonna kind of like burst them out, not just a walk around the block. Something short and explosive. They're gonna give them that feeling of getting out. You do that for the next week, right? And during that week, all we focus on right now is just getting your nutrition right.
Yeah.
Getting your food right. Because the nutrition for most people think it's the most difficult thing, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's the easiest.
Yeah.
Right? So short sprints, don't think about what you have to do. Just find somewhere you can do it, 10 minutes. And then we're figuring out your nutrition, because your nutrition is going to be the thing. Together with the gym, there's going to build that consistency with yourself, right? 1, 2, 3, whatever 4 meals you're going to eat. This is what you're going to do, right? So then there lays education around, okay, what are the food you need to eat, and how are we getting you to actually get it or buy it and then get it? But that's basic, you know what I mean? But that for me, I would say that's the first thing for some people. It's like, see yourself coming from the couch right now and then do something explosive.
Yeah.
In the first week. Don't think about, I'm going to go there and gym memberships and freaking like figuring out everything I'm going to buy and blah, blah, blah. Get into accountability. You're sick and tired of being where you are right now. You want to accomplish something new. You want to get your body into shape. Invest.
Yeah.
Invest some money. Those who pay attention. Invest some money into something. Doesn't matter who it is. It can be your uncle, there's a personal trainer. It could be your friend. Invest some money. Have something on the line.
Yeah.
First thing. And then really just simplicity in it is just doing something for the first week that's going to give you that outburst out of like doing what you normally are doing. And then to be honest, bro, then our process is really just the first week is nutrition, get them to do something. You know, the food is going right now, very simple, very easy. Then we add in the workouts and these sort of things and getting them on some, you know, proper workout routine after that. And then from there, if people really want to add it on and really want to take it to the next level, that's where we're adding in the, you know, the mental routines.
Yeah.
And we have this kind of like a little 5-step power routine that I'm doing and I'm giving to those people. You know, it's number one, it's beat the sun up. Like wake up early in the morning.
Yeah.
If you're a night owl, doesn't matter. Wake up half an hour before, 45 minutes before. That's going to give you that time for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Then number 2, you do some morning movement. If it's your workout, fine. If you're just going for a walk, fine. And you're doing your workout later. Perfect. Third step is that you're adding in some sort of like learning as you're doing it, aka an audiobook or 10-minute video, like motivational video. You listen to some of the course videos we'll be having in there. Doesn't matter. Something intellectual. You don't touch your phone in the morning. No news, no emails, no nothing. You do that, right? You do 10 minutes of meditation, and then you write down your goal.
Yeah.
Fresh every day. It will take you less than an hour to do, but I'm telling you, that routine in itself might sound like, oh, fuck, how am I going to do all that? That routine is one thing. And I'm telling you, for all the people that are listening, that combined with you getting your body into shape is the key to anything else you want in your life.
Yeah.
Because now you build both your body and your mind at the same time. You prime it, you seal it, you're making it stronger to then be like, all right, where am I going? Because the person you're talking about right now don't really know. They kind of have an idea. I might want to quit my 9-to-5 job. I might start my own thing. I might do that. But they're not there yet. All they can think about right now is myself. Like I need to help myself right now. Personal development, blah, blah, blah. So that would be the process. Don't think about anything else. make your commitment to the 2 activities you're going to do with your body every day, aka your food and your training, and then have this little power routine where you do your meditation, you wake up early, and you're listening to something, you're writing down your goals. It's going to bring it up and make it, important for you. You're going to see it every single day. That combined, if you just do that for the next 6 months, 5 times a week, 5 days a week, your life is going to change.
Yeah.
Guarantee. You do it for the next 30 days, you're going to have an appetizer for something you haven't tasted before. And that's what I always say to people, like, I'm not I go against the typical fitness programs. There's some people that just need training and food. That's fine. They need a bit of correction to that. But 10% of the general fitness programs focusing on this part.
Yeah.
Exercise and train, intermittent fasting, keto. And that can be good for some people. That can be good for someone like us that need a little fresh boost to something, or something different. But for most people is the 90%. It's the behaviors.
Yeah.
It's the patterns. It's the habits. It's the kids. It's the work. It's like I've always been like that.
Yeah.
And that you really reshape in that routine you're doing with yourself every day. Something you do every day, if it's good for you, it's going to change your life.
Yeah, and that's something that I really learned from you is 2 things, like the habits. The habits are key to everything. That's the foundation of your success.
Yeah.
And keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Like I was always like counting my macros on Strict, MyFitnessPal.
Yeah.
The same with you, I never count.
Yeah.
And I make way more progress.
Yeah.
Because we're keeping it simple.
Yeah.
And it's just momentum.
Yeah.
Once the momentum is on, never lose it.
Yeah.
That's something you really taught me, and made tremendous progress since then.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because in the end of the day, bro, it's food. We don't eat numbers.
Yeah.
We eat food. So if you learn to understand that this food is this food is this mainly one steak or one salmon or one chicken breast. Doesn't matter if it's a little bit small, a little bit bigger. It's roughly around the same amount, right? And of course, like in the beginning, it might be beneficial for someone to actually like look at the label, put it into MyFitnessPal and see what numbers are.
Yeah.
But inside my programs, and what we really have changed here now lately is really just like remove all that from our programs and our meal plans and when we are working with clients, and really just giving them serving sizes so they learn like what's a chicken breast, what's 1 serve of a rice, what's 1 potato, vegetables, fruit, like what are the things that they need to have. So they can go to a buffet anywhere and then can be like, yeah, I want scrambled eggs there. I want a bit of like avocado there. I want a bit of like mushrooms and salad and spinach. Boom, that's my meal. Okay, I want a smoothie. Boom, I want this fruit in it. I want 2 scoops of protein. Boom, meal. So they learn more about meals instead of numbers.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like you look at your plate and you understand, I get 40 grams of protein there right now. People don't even care about that. If I can teach them that this size is good for you, they can take that with them and do that moving forward. You know what I mean? So I'm very, very big on that. Like, timing instead of limitation. That's why I hate MyFitnessPal. That's why I hate plans in general with that sort of thing, because it limits you to, like, I'm a failure if I don't hit my 2,000 calories.
Yeah. And when you overeat, you feel stressed, you feel like failure.
Yeah.
That's something you really learned me as well, indeed.
Yeah.
Because before that, I was always like numbers. Okay, need to hit my macros, need to hit my calories. And if I overeat, okay, failure, this and that, I'm fucking up today.
Yeah.
Complete opposite now. They changed all. And the funny thing is, like, the keeping it simple aspect, it's applicable for other things as well. Yeah. I apply it to business, to my own personal life. Yeah. Because most of the times people, especially when they want to start, they're making it too difficult. For example, you're overweight, you want to lose weight, you start by going to the gym. Simple. But they think like, no, I need a meal plan, I need a workout plan, this and that. Keep it simple. Yeah. And that's something like you really learn.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But again, there's a lot of people that even don't know that step. They don't know what to do.
I think most people, they do know, but they like deny it. As in, of course, when someone's overweight, they know I have to eat healthy. I have to go to the gym.
Yeah. But it's then like I don't know what to do when I go to the gym. That's what freaks people out.
That's
like
what freaks
when you
people
talk
out,
about those people. But a lot of the guys that I'm working with is, people that already have done stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They know a squat, they know a bench press, they know these sort of things. There can be a lot of optimization in that. We do that as well, like really teaching them how to do it. And I think a lot of the times as well, people want to blame it on the nutrition, which is sure, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But I would say the animal drive that you're developing in a good session, training, me training to becoming an athlete, Christina quitting, me being the last one, just like, like I'm gonna freak, like I'm going to this show, like I'm doing the last rep, I'm doing the like this helps me to be better. I think, to be honest, like talking about form and technique and muscle connection and you know,
for later.
Yeah, I think people just don't train hard enough.
Yeah.
They just don't train hard enough. Like they just go there.
Yeah.
And do it. Like even for me, like I'm super busy with my business and these sort of things there. I don't really progress. I just maintain. I'm just having a fairly good shape, but and I train with good quality. You know what I mean? Like I know how to turn my body on. But I'm like, if I maintain doing what I'm doing, how the fuck is someone else gonna make progress doing what they're doing? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, when you're in the gym, you're in the gym.
Basically. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Like I always go through that 3-step process, and we teach them right away in the program. Form and technique first. You have to know where your elbows, your arms, your legs, your knees has to be, right? To how to do it. How do you move it up correctly? Number 2 is the biggest one that most people never get, is the muscle connection. Like think and feel your muscle. I think you and I, we did it together in the gym.
Yeah, with the biceps.
Yeah, with the biceps and that sort of thing. Like squeeze. Like when I always say to people, your exercise is not what's making the connection. It's you. You should be able to do a press now and feel your chest, feel your shoulder, feel your arms when you're squeezing. That's all you doing it. Now you're just adding some resistance on. But it's like I do a bicep curl here, no feeling anything. There I feel. Yeah. It's me doing that mechanic movements in my mind. And that's really what I learned from my bodybuilding coach when I was 19, 20. That changed everything for me. And then he added the intensity into it. Like, have you ever seen Dorian Yates? Yeah. Beast. He's probably the godfather of intensity in his workouts. Beast.
Yeah.
Normal people are not going to do that, and I understand. But what you can do is that you can have some focus.
Yeah.
Don't touch your phone, right? Like, be there. Know what you're going to train before you get there. Yeah. Because you already know, okay, I'm going to do push today. I'm going to do full body today. Okay, where are the exercises in the gym? What I'm going to do, you already done the workouts before. And kind of like get into it mentally. This is what I'm like. It's like when you go into a meeting, what's the intention for the meeting? If there's no intention, there's no outcome.
Yeah.
If you're just like talking, blah, blah, blah. Did we really get out of the meeting what we wanted to? Like, you ever been in those meetings?
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I think it was just a meeting for the sake of meetings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same with the workouts. If there's no intention and clear outcome, what do I want to get out of this session today? I'm on this mission right now to want to lose my 10 to 15 kgs in the next 12 weeks. What's my intention out of this workout today? I want to win today. Like going into the workout. This is one step closer towards my 12-week goal. And just alone by having that focus and that no touching your phone, like thinking about, hey, I did squat last time with 80 kilos for 10 reps. I want to beat that. Let's put 85 and a half, like 82 and a half on. Like really just get into that intention around, I want to get something out of the workout. Majority of the people, even at Body Factory, you see, none of them think.
Yeah.
People are just fit. Like people at Body Factory, they're young and fit in these sort of things.
Yeah.
They don't think because they're not on a mission to anything. But if you want to lose 10 to 15 kg, have you seen what's his name? Bali Viking on Instagram.
No.
He's a good guy. He's from so bad now with a real name because it's always like online. He's over here to try to lose weight. He was 140 kgs. He's in a good position with his business and that sort of thing. He actually could take time off. So he's here in Bali right now for 12 months purely to train.
Yeah.
I actually want to do a podcast with him because you see how much grind that he's going through. Sessions a day, boxing at midday, weights in the morning, discipline with his diet, and how much work he's going through. But this guy, he's on a mission.
Yeah.
He really wants to get there. He's over here. He's invested. He's in the right environment. He has the great facilities around him. But his workouts are like beast. And he was 140 kgs.
Yeah.
Crypto guy, finance guy. That was it. So it all comes back to what we talk about. Vision, mission, goals, and habits.
That's the foundation of everything.
That's the foundation you're operating from. And then your job is to be like, what do I want? Like even for you and I, when you and I were thinking about what we want to do, hey, what can we do in the next 21 days?
Yeah.
Like shorten time down, because it's gonna create that urgency and that awareness in our intention and how we're putting into our work and sort of things there. So I think that's the key for people.
It's foundation, yeah.
Foundation, and then have these things in place. Don't overcomplicate. You know, if you need to lose 10 to 15 kgs, you can do so many things to lose that weight. First of all, you don't have to go to the gym. If you want to be built like you and I with muscles, of course, you got to go and do some resistance. But people are just pussies.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but exactly.
But they are.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but don't speak then.
Yeah.
Don't say you want it.
Yeah.
Take responsibility. Yeah, take responsibility and then think with your higher mind.
Yeah.
What do I need to do? Who do I need to contact? Who can I get help from?
Yeah.
I understand from friends and people and everybody I've talked to, it's hard to make that shift from being in your routine, kids, family, work, and these sort of things, right?
It's going out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, you're comfortable, right? But if you really want this, as you're saying, like,
gotta fucking go.
Take the first step.
Yeah.
Just invest. Like that's probably the first step for most people. Find someone that can help, or go for that first walk or that first hill sprint.
Yeah.
And that's going to give you the motivation to next week be in a little bit more high energy state and be like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to get a personal trainer or a coach or someone.
Then you're gaining momentum.
Momentum is everything. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
For the people watching, and probably they've been inspired by you and they want to change their life.
Yeah.
They want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Or gain muscle.
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
Well, they can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Simon Thomsen across the board. Thomsen, Thomsen. It's the Danish one. I tried to make it. I actually bought the name on Instagram from a guy, a Danish guy. I've had a few couple of names, but I could never get my real name, my first and last name.
Yeah.
And I remember I reached out to this guy there, and I was like, "Hey, can I?" It was just like a small, like private profile. He didn't use it for anything. I'm like, hey, if I'm giving you some training and nutrition programs valued at X, like, would you like, could I have your name? Could we change names? And he was like, no, I don't need training and fitness program, but I want the value. I want the money of what you said it was worth. So I had to pay him. I can't remember what I paid, like $500 or something. Oh, yeah. But I got the name. So Simon Thomsen across the board, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, trying to be on there every single day, the stories and these sort of things. And just do more content like this, like actually having real life conversations, because I truly believe that's where, the best information comes out from people, and where people can learn the most, because 100%. It's real life conversations.
I want to thank you for coming, bro. Really.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Amazing conversation. Guys, if you're still watching, if you made it to the end, thank you for watching. Check Simon out. He drops a lot of value on his Instagram. Even only from there, you can learn a lot from him. Check him out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.